Good morning, Lower School. It's great to see you again today. I hope that you had a wonderful spring break and that you were able to do some fun stuff at home and take a break from your schoolwork. So now that we're back, today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, and I wanted to read one of my favorite stories to you today. I'm only going to be reading one book to you today because it is a bit longer, and I have a new activity for you to try once we're done reading. So this story is called Finding Winnie, and it is the true story of the world's most famous bear. So try to think of a bear that you know of whose first name is Winnie. Can you think of one? Did you think of Winnie the Pooh? That's right. So this bear, a real bear named Winnie, was the inspiration for the character Winnie the Pooh, and you'll see why in this story. Another thing I wanted to point out is that this book has a Caldecott Medal. And my first graders should know that the Caldecott Medal means that this book won the prize for the best illustrations. And because it is a gold medal, that means it won first place. So this story came out in 2015, so that was 5 years ago. So that means 5 years ago this story won the first prize for the best illustrations. And I personally love the illustrations as well. I think they're very well done, and I hope you'll enjoy them too. So, Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear. Let's get started. Here you can see a beautiful forest scene. Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear, by Lindsay Matlick and illustrated by Sophie Blackall. Could you tell me a story? Asked Cole. It's awfully late. It was long past dark and time to be asleep. What kind of story? Asked his mom. You know, a true story, one about a bear. We cuddled up close. I'll do my best, I said. You can see he has a bear in his lap. A very long time ago, about 100 years before you were born, there was a veterinarian who lived in Winnipeg. His name was Harry Colburn. A vegetarian? Said Cole. Bear doesn't like vegetables. A veterinarian, it means animal doctor. I know that, Cole said. That's what I'm going to maybe be when I'm big. If a horse had the hiccups or a cow had a cough, Harry knew how to make them feel just right. Harry's hands were never cold, even in Winnipeg, where winters are so frosty that icicles grow on the insides of your nose. That was just the kind of doctor he was. But a day came when Harry had to say goodbye to Winnipeg. There was a war far, far away, beyond the end of the country and on the other side of the ocean, and he was going to help. He would be taking care of the soldiers' horses. Harry rode east on a train full of other soldiers. He leaned his head against the window, watching the land scroll by, wondering what it would be like to be so far from home. The train rolled right through dinner and over the sunset and around 10 o'clock and into a nap and out the next day until it stopped at a place called White River. Harry decided to stretch his legs. On the train platform was a man on a bench with a baby. A baby? Said Cole, annoyed. What's a baby doing at a train station? A baby bear, a cub. Harry stopped. It's not every day that you see a bear cub at a train station. That bear has lost his mother, he thought, and that man must be the trapper who got her. What do trappers do? Asked Cole. It's what trappers don't do. They don't raise bears. Raise them? You know, I said, love them. So this bear is with a trapper. Let's hope he can get away. Harry thought for a long time. Then he said to himself, "There is something special about that bear." He felt inside his pocket and said, "I shouldn't." Then he paced back and forth and said, "I can't." Then his heart made up his mind, and he walked up to the trapper and said, "I'll give you $20 for the bear." "Is $20 a lot?" asked Cole. "Back then," I said, "even more than a lot." "Captain Colburn," said the colonel on the train as the little bear sniffled at his knees, "we are on a journey of thousands of miles heading into the thick of battle, and you want to bring this most dangerous creature?" Bear stood straight up on her hind legs as if to salute the colonel. The colonel stopped speaking at once, and then in a different voice he said, "Oh, hello." The men of Harry's regiment squeezed by to have a look. "I've decided to name her Winnipeg," Harry told them, "so we'll never be far from home. Winnie for short." They had a very long way to travel, and they had already gone 3 or 4 feet when Winnie grew hungry. "What do bears eat?" the men wondered. "What don't they eat?" said Harry. "Vegetables," Cole reminded me. "Winnie ate vegetables," I said. "She ate everything except onions." They brought her carrots and potatoes and apples and tomatoes and eggs and beans and bread, and a tin of fish and some slop in a dish, but Winnie was still hungry. "How about dessert?" said Harry, holding up a bottle of condensed milk. Taking the treat in her paws, Winnie lay on her back and hummed a happy song as she drank. The men laughed. So they're bringing her lots of food. Harry and Winnie gathered with soldiers from all over Canada in the green fields of Valcartier. A whole city of tents had set up there. One was a hospital for horses where Harry went to work. So that's where all the soldiers slept during the war. Winnie was in the army now. Harry taught her to stand up straight and hold her head high and turn this way and that just so. Soon she was assigned her own post. Even the colonel agreed that Winnie was a remarkable bear. She might have been the best navigator in the whole army. If you hid something, could she find it? She could. What if it was farther away, and farther still? "Remarkable!" he cried. In the evenings, both of them were too tired to move. When Harry thought about Winnie and the voyage across the ocean, his head said, "I shouldn't." His head said, "I can't." But his heart made up his mind. Do you think he'll bring Winnie with him? Let's see. Nobody had ever tried to float so many people and animals across the Atlantic Ocean before. 30 ships sailed together, carrying about 36,000 men and about 7,500 horses, and one bear named Winnie. There she is at the edge of the ship, ready to cross the ocean. When they finally arrived in England, they started training on Salisbury Plain, where it rained and rained and rained. But Winnie didn't seem to mind. She was the mascot of the 2nd Canadian Infantry Brigade, and she attended her post with vigor. One day Harry came running while she was doing her exercises in the tent. "You'll bring the whole place down," he said with a laugh. She had grown. It was winter when the order came. The time had come to fight. Winnie posed proudly with the men for pictures to send home to their families. Harry thought for a long time. His head argued one way and then the other, but his heart made up his mind. He went to Winnie and said in a serious way, "There's somewhere we need to go." Winnie brushed the mud off her nose and nuzzled in close. Keep in mind, this is a real bear. Isn't that crazy? Harry drove all the way to the big city. "Here we are," said Harry, "the London Zoo." Harry took a deep breath. "Winnie, this is going to be your home for a while," he said. She tilted her head. "We're shipping out to France," he explained. "I have to take care of the horses at the front." She rested her head against him. I know you want to come, but it's not safe. Winnie's head bowed. Harry's hands were warm as sunshine, as usual. There is something you must always remember, Harry said. It's the most important thing, really. Even if we're apart, I'll always love you. You'll always be my bear. So he's having a really hard time saying goodbye. Is that the end? That's the end of Harry and Winnie's story, I said. But I don't want it to be over, said Cole. Sometimes, I said, you have to let one story end so the next one can begin. How do you know when that will happen? You don't, I said, which is why you should always carry on. So there's the zoo where Winnie went to live. Here's Winnie all the way down here in her new home. Once upon a time there was a little boy with a stuffed bear. He'd had his bear since he was a baby, but somehow the boy had never found the right name for him. He'd tried Teddy and Edward and even Big Bear. So now it's a new story. One day the boy went to visit the London Zoo with his father, and there was a bear, a real bear. Right away the boy thought, there is something special about that bear. Her name was Winnie. So here's Winnie in this story too. They became true friends. The boy was allowed to come right inside her enclosure to play. Once the boy had found Winnie, he knew just what to call his stuffed bear. He named it Winnie the Pooh, and the boy was called... Cole? Asked Cole. His name was Christopher Robin Milne. Christopher Robin would visit Winnie at the zoo, and then he would take his stuffed animal on all sorts of adventures in the wood behind his home. His father, Alan Alexander Milne, wrote books all about them. Harry's Winnie became Winnie the Pooh, and there has never been a more beloved bear. But what about Harry? Asked Cole. So this boy is named Christopher Robin, just like in Winnie the Pooh, and this is the bear that inspired Winnie the Pooh. When Harry visited Winnie at the zoo, he saw how happy she was. She was being raised. She was truly loved. And that was all he had ever wanted from the moment they met at the train station in White River. So after the war, Harry returned to Winnipeg and his life as an animal doctor. Before long, he was married and had a son named Fred, and Fred had a daughter named Laureen, and Laureen had a daughter named Lindsay, which is me. And then I had a son. When I saw you, I thought, there is something special about this boy. So I named you after your great-great-grandfather, Captain Harry Colborne. I named you Cole. So there's Harry and his son Fred. And then Fred had a daughter named Laureen. Laureen had Lindsay. And Lindsay, who's telling the story, had Cole. That's me, said Cole in a whisper. That's you. And that's Winnie? Yes, I said, that's Winnie. And it's all true? Sometimes the best stories are, I said. Cole's eyes grew big, and he said nothing for a long time. Then he hugged his own bear and let out a yawn that reached far away, and they both turned over and fell asleep. Now here's the really cool part. This is an album of real pictures. Here's Harry Colborne as a young soldier. That's the real Harry. And here's a diary. And in the diary he wrote about when he found Winnie. And then here's pictures of the real Winnie at camp with the soldiers. So there's Harry and Winnie the bear. And then here's a statue that's in Winnipeg of that same picture. Isn't that awesome? And then here's Christopher Robin with Winnie at the zoo. And then here's Lindsay, who wrote the book, and her son Cole in real life. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that story. It's one of my favorites. And next, you're going to see a choice board where you can choose from a bunch of different activities to do during library time. So I hope you'll find something that you really enjoy, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!